Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art and culture, and this is Billboard Breakdown. You know, after the past few weeks and somehow falling behind again in my reviews, it's nice to actually have a Hot 100 list that's fairly lightweight in terms of new songs, most of which I've already heard before in some capacity. It's one of the breather moments you get as the summer starts to just settle into gear and the album release schedule starts to ease back just a little bit, at least in terms of the pop charts. Case in point, look at our top 10, where See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth reigns for another week at the top, even as the airplay gains finally seem to have peaked, with it only holding dominance there and on YouTube. It'll be interesting to see what eventually rises to eventually replace it the second time around, so let's look at its closest competition, Bad Blood by Taylor Swift featuring Kendrick Lamar. It's holding at number 2 right now thanks to solid sales, YouTube, and consistently strong airplay gains, probably most likely Canada as the airplay gains aren't slowing down anytime soon. Beneath it we've got our streaming leader with Trap Queen by Fetty Wap, which looks to be in a slightly more unstable position, because despite a good sales week and even some YouTube gains, airplay started dropping a little bit this week. Similar case for Shut Up and Dance by Walk the Moon. Yes, good sales, but no YouTube. Again, streaming losses, and a shaky airplay week means that this admittedly excellent song might be in trouble coming up soon, especially against the competition, led primarily by Want to Want Me by Jason Derulo rising to number 5, which despite only good sales had a very solid airplay week and picked up some streaming, likely off the back of his album dropping and not being terrible. It was enough to push back Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson and Bruno Mars back a peg to number 6, which lost across the board except in YouTube, where it holds onto its position consistently. It's probably the reason where it's still where it is in the top 10. Earned It by The Weeknd, however, does not have that such luck, as it hemorrhaged airplay en masse and took a hit in streaming to fall back to number 7. It still managed to have enough to hold up against Hey Mama by David Guetta, BB Rexa, Nicki Minaj and Afrojack at number 8. Also thanks to a surprise softening in airplay gains, only decent sales, and actually a loss in on-demand streaming as it gained on YouTube, but not enough to take it up any higher. This leads us to our new top 10 entry, Honey, I'm Good by Andy Grammer rising to number 9. To say that I'm a little bit astonished that this is here, understating it. Well, it's because it's the sort of song that's so goddamn corny in terms of refusing the opportunity to cheat with this girl, but then again it is catchy as hell, which likely led to its excellent sales week and steadily rising airplay. Nothing in streaming or on YouTube, but giving the annoying as hell video and the song's overall sound, I'm not all that surprised. Finally, we've got Sugar by Maroon 5 somehow still only on at number 10. It's here thanks to YouTube and whatever residual airplay it's got left, because streaming took another hit and sales at this point aren't even worth mentioning, and the airplay is dropping pretty quick too. And considering some of the songs coming up behind it, beneath it, I cannot see this lasting long in the top 10, maybe one more week. But before we get to those songs that could take it out, let's talk about our losers and dropouts. Sadly, we lost some decent enough songs on the charts this week. Homegrown by the Zac Brown Band losing naturally, and I Bet by Sierra, Raise 'Em Up by Keith Urban and Eric Church, and King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar all gone before their just time. Outside of that though, All About That Bass by Meghan Trainor is finally off the charts, along with Heartbeat Song by Kelly Clarkson, which exited naturally. And a few of our big losers fall along a similar pattern. Chainz by Nick Jonas dropping to 43 despite being a pretty good song, and 4 or 5 Seconds by Rihanna, Kanye West and Paul McCartney, they're on their way out naturally. And Flashlight by Jessie J going to 74, and All Day by Kanye West, Theophilus London, Alan Kingdom and Paul McCartney falling to 91, that feels a little bit premature to me. And of course, LSD and Electric Body by A$AP Rocky, the latter featuring Schoolboy Q, they fell to 84 and 97 respectively. Natural reaction after initial debut for songs, especially for non-singles. The one drop this week that did surprise me was Smoke by 1,000 Horses sliding down to 59. You'd think that given the debut album just dropped, it would get a bit of a boost, but I guess apparently not. The one drop that really pleased me was Nasty by Band of Gang Marco dropping hard to 82. Apparently, the charts can only tolerate one terrible song named Nasty at a time, and thank God for that. I am plenty happy to see this gone. No, the gains is where things got more interesting this week. Well, it's because they're a little bit harder to explain. As much as I think that Classic Man by Jadena featuring Roman G and Arthur and Photograph by Ed Sheeran, they aren't good songs. In the case of Jadena song, pretty damn shitty. Their rises to 62 and 42 makes sense, as Ed Sheeran can easily notch his hits and Jadena can easily rip off previous ones. The country charts also decided to give Buy Me a Boat by Chris Janson a boost to 81 and Lovin' You Easy by Zac Brown Band to 75. The former because it's an easy song that panders to fishing culture that gets a boost in the summer anyways, and the latter because Well, I actually have no idea, because there's no way in hell this song should even be on country radio. In fact, we got all sorts of surprises in this vein, because Fight Song by Rachel Platten got another boost up to 25. Do we really need another pseudo-inspirational power ballad? I thought that was the reason that Flashlight by Jessie J was tanking right now. And finally, I Really Like You by Carly Rae Jepsen bounces up to 60. Not all that surprising really though. People probably remember how successful Call Me Maybe was over in the summer in 2012, so why not go for a repeat? And here's the thing, that song has actually grown on me a little bit, even despite the chorus being clumsy in the worst possible way in terms of its writing. So much so that I might actually try to review her upcoming album if I can find the time, which is saying something. But now we've got a pretty small list of new arrivals, so let's start with our solitary returning entry, shall we?
Get low when the whistle go.
I didn't have a huge amount to say about the song when I first covered it, but I think it's grown on me a little bit since then. I'm still not the biggest fan of the Arabian-inspired synth choice, it just kind of turns me off that opens up that first verse, but when you get past that, it's one of DJ Snake's most propulsive and aggressively fun dance tracks, even despite the ridiculous pitch-shifted vocals, again, not my thing, mostly because it's got such a grip on the crescendos and the melodic progressions, and those shrieks that punctuate the song add a lot to the dusty trap style that it's got going for it. Honestly, it's sitting around the same spot that Turned Down for What was for me, minus Lil Jon, of course, and let's be honest, more Lil Jon is always a good thing, but featuring a thicker and more developed melodic progression that does work a fair bit better than Turned Down for What did, especially on the later parts of that song. In other words, yeah, I like this song. So now on to our sparse list of new entries, starting with number 99, Hell of a Night by Dustin Lynch. Show you one hell of a night. Really, Dustin? You had to release this as your next single and not Halo or To the Sky? Okay, on the one hand, I'm not exactly surprised. If you're leaning for more of a rock side of the typical bro country stuff, this song isn't terrible. Mostly because Dustin anchors it in a solid melodic riff with enough of a melody to really support it. And for a straightforward country rock track, Dustin Lynch has the voice to really back it up. And yeah, it helps that it's nowhere near as clunky and overmixed as most bro country is, even if I do think the vocal echo isn't all that needed. But this song suffers in my mind for two main reasons. The first being that the lyrics are absolutely nothing worth caring about. The sort of interchangeable mush that I've heard dozens of times, hell, even this week. And secondly, dude, To the Sky sounds like a Poets of the Fall track, and that'd be amazing to hear on the radio. But then again, therein lies the problem, that Dustin Lynch is arguably a country act, and To the Sky would belong on rock radio, which means you would never see it on the charts. But putting that aside, folks, I already forgot this song exists. Go check out To the Sky instead. That song, amazing. Number 96, Hood Go Crazy by Tech 9 featuring 2 Chainz and B.o.B.
She said, do it for me, baby. Took a double shot and then we all went crazy. White girls go crazy. Black girls go crazy. College girls go crazy. This is the type of shit to make the hood go crazy.
It's weird seeing Tech 9 on the radio. Not just because he's the sort of ridiculously skilled technical rapper that can run circles around everybody in the mainstream, but because even on more of his party bangers, he's a cult artist. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not the biggest Tech 9 fan, mostly because a lot of his content and production aren't always on the same level as his rapping skill, but I respect the hell out of him. And yet, seeing him on the charts with B.o.B only covering the hook, a bad sign about how far his stock has fallen, and 2 Chainz on the sort of track, it's jarring as hell for me. Now here's the thing. Tech 9, he sounds great on this track in terms of his charisma and natural flow and rapping talent. At least when he sounds like he's awake, because half his bars feel lethargic to the point of laziness. Then you have 2 Chainz, who says nothing worthwhile, and that pimple line was disgusting. But you know what, in terms of his technical rapping ability, he did step up, but what a complete waste of B.o.B. Only on the hook? This guy used to have a flow like Andre 3000, and this is all you let him do? Now, I know what some of you are thinking. In comparison with most people who do this sort of party banging material, Tech 9 is so obviously better a rapper that I should give this a pass, even though by his standards you can tell he's barely trying. But with production that really didn't do anything all that special, and the fact that I know that Tech can do better, I've got a hard time giving this song a pass for me. I have a hard time really liking it. And for those of you who say you can't have crowd-pleasing bangers and hooks and incredible lyricism at the same time, go look up a band called Doomtree and then get back to me. Number 82. Every Day by A$AP Rocky featuring Rod Stewart, Miguel, and Mark Ronson.
Yes, I am.
So every day I spend my time drinking wine, feeling fine, waiting here to find the sign that I should take it slow.
You know, as much as I dug the hell out of LSD, Every Day was a close second for me on A$AP Rocky's last album, and nearly all of it was wrapped up in that hook and the production. The pairing of Rod Stewart and Miguel and the hook is inspired, and I love that organ backdrop paired with some of the incredibly solid drums, and that first beat change up, absolutely great. And yeah, A$AP Rocky's flow on the song, it is impressive. You can groove with it. The problem is everything he actually says. He doesn't really have many punchlines, his bars are just more empty bragging, and his obsession with trying to get lesbians to sleep with him, it just gets grating no matter how self-deprecating he gets. Again, the hook and the production redeems a lot. I do like this song, but I don't love it, and the outro just kills a lot of the momentum for me. Overall, damn good, but I wish A$AP Rocky had more to actually say to make the song a great track. Just saying. Number 85, House Party by Sam Hunt.
Be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party.
I don't want to say it, but I've always promised to be honest with you guys. Putting aside Cop Car, which Keith Urban did first and did it amazingly all to boot, this is probably Sam Hunt's best song. It doesn't belong anywhere near country radio, and the fact that it'll get more play over a far more deserving artist is infuriating, but that's not Sam Hunt's fault, and really the fault of radio programmers who say nonsense like they shouldn't play women on country radio, calling them tomatoes in a salad, which I don't have the time or patience or control of my temper to discuss today. But by the standards of Sam Hunt songs, it's still not very good, mostly because the banjo carrying any sort of melody is drowned out by the percussion, and it and the guitar sound clunky as hell, especially against the two slick by half cymbals. But I think the reason that this track doesn't bother me or offend me so much is that it's really too stupid to hate. What I disliked about other Sam Hunt tracks like Ecstasy or Take Your Time was that the obnoxiousness in being too slick by half doesn't help. In other words, a lot of the same reason that Adam Levine and Maroon 5 can piss me off so much. But this is a clunky sing-along for drunk frat boys, and it at least gets that and can kind of own it. It's not giving a pass for me. I still don't like the song, but I don't really hate it either. Number 58, Ulay by How I Became the Bomb.
Thinking back to the last time on the wall as they turned away. Walking back, was it just a trick or did he hear her say, Ulay, Ulay, oh.
Of all the tracks that showed up on the charts this week, this is the biggest surprise, and by far the most interesting. Not because of the music itself, but because of the story behind the song, which ties into noted performance artist Marina Abramovic and her longtime lover Ulay. The story goes that the two had been involved intimately for years, starting back in the 70s when they finally broke up. And when they did so, they walked the entire length of the Great Wall of China to meet in the middle for one final embrace. They didn't see each other again until Abramovic released The Artist Is Present back in 2010, a performance art piece where the audience was confronted with Marina's presence as an artist, directly sitting across from her, designed to show how one responds when placed in direct contact with the artist themselves. It's intimidating as Marina's implacable presence is pretty damn potent, until on opening night, Ulay returns and sat opposite her. One of the few that could actually pierce Marina's steely exterior and drive a real response, the first time she had seen him in years, and apparently he was dying at the time too. On a conceptual level, it's powerful as hell, showing how those we have loved have touched something so deeply within us that the artist naturally responds, as those memories of love and passion never really fade. Anyway, the reason that the song is here is because a video snippet of that piece went viral on YouTube, and for good reason. It's incredibly powerful. I highly recommend it, especially considering there is no dialogue, and Abramovic and Ulay can manage to convey the entire piece just sitting across the table from each other, and you can tell how it just sliced through her perfect poise. It's powerful as hell. I say all this because I'm not sure how much the song holds up away from the video, seeing that interaction. It is very well written and does a lot to tell that story, but the pitch correction on the vocals is a little bit much, and the synths really don't do a lot to drive the song until that thicker low end came in. As a track, let me stress this, it's damn solid, a great novelty, and definitely recommend it, but like most other viral hits, I don't exactly see this sticking around. Just saying. And finally, number 47, Phenomenal by Eminem.
Go to whatever lengths, it's gonna make me a monster dog.
Okay, really? Didn't you already make this a Cinderella Man, which was a much better boxing anthem, or any other half-dozen pseudo-inspirational anthems that you've cranked out over the past 5 years? Now, one of the things I've realized over the past couple of years is that while Relapse continues to just rise in value for me as an underappreciated gem, Recovery just keeps falling further and further in my eyes, and Eminem returning to that well yet again with Phenomenal might just be one of his worst efforts to date, and clear that he's just running out of ideas at this point. Forget the fact that his low-key singing for the hook is completely gutless, and whoever he sampled for that bridge sounds terrible, and that the production is so ponderous and heavy that it doesn't have any of the real power to really pump you up, which you need for a sports song. Yeah, what really disappoints me on the song is Eminem himself. Yeah, the writing is still good, he's a good technical rapper, but he's slipping off the beat here, and from M, that's sloppiness, that's inexcusable. The bigger problem is that the lyricism is just nothing special, or interesting, or colorful, or witty, and the punchlines have so little flavor or character beyond stuff that he's just done before. It's the worst possible thing for an Eminem track, in that it's boring as tar, and M just shouting phenomenal. It's insufferable. In any other case, I would skip this. So yeah, change of pace. Eminem's walking away with the worst of the week, with dishonorable mention going to House Party by Sam Hunt. Just because it's his best song doesn't make it any good, I'm sorry. As for the best of the week, you know what, it's hard to pick a stand-up, but I think I'm gonna give it to Ulay, How I Became the Bomb. It's a really great track, with Everyday by A$AP Rocky, Miguel, Rod Stewart, and Mark Ronson slipping in for an honorable mention. God, as an Eminem fan, it's painful to place him in that position, but I'm sorry, that song, it's crap. Let's hope for better next week, but until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown on Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.